Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Episode 133. We got a good lineup ahead of UFC Nashville. But first up, we're going to join by One Championship CEO, Chatri Sityodtong. Just talk about the latest things with One. Obviously, they made their way into the United States. They announced they're planning to do at least 4 more next year. So, really good chat with Chatri about that. And then we also got a little stop by from BJ to say hi to Chatri. Obviously, those two. Never really met in person, but they both very fond of each other. BJ messaged saying he wanted to hop on, so we got it done. A bit of technical difficulties at first for him, but eventually we got his sound working. And it was all good. But we're then going to be joined by Dustin Jacoby to preview his fight against Damon Jackson in UFC Nashville. This is a big one for Dustin Jacoby, coming off back-to-back losses. Lost to Azmat Mirzakhanov last time out, and a fight he was really disappointed with. He knew he should have wrestled earlier on. He said that third round really bugged him because how easy those takedowns were, and he figured if he did that from the beginning, he would have won. And before that, had that controversial split decision to Khalil Roundtree, but he's now since coming back to the UFC, like the back-to-back loss, he knows he could be fighting for his job here, and against Keddy, he knows this is a tough fight, but one he's really looking forward to. And then to close things out, we talked about Billy Quarantillo and Damon Jackson to preview their fight against each other. Both Damon and Billy are coming off knockout losses to ranked guys. Billy getting knocked out by Edson Barboza, Damon getting knocked out by Dan Ige, and both their chances to enter the UFC ranking. So they both know a win here is pivotal. They think a win over, especially stoppage, gets them right back to where they were, and hopefully a ranked guy next. But really good chat with both of them. Be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by One Championship CEO Chatri Sityodtong. Chatri, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Like, obviously, One Championship has a lot of things going on. Like the Amazon deal, well underway. Like, we'll just kind of start right there. Like, from everything you've kind of seen, like, how impactful has that been for the growth of One in the United States and just North America in general, getting with Amazon?
Well, our partnership with Amazon has been huge. Amazon and One, we're super happy with the partnership. It's exceeded all expectations for both Amazon and for us. And I think the proof was in the pudding with our May 5th debut here in the U.S. in Denver. Obviously, a sold-out show several weeks in advance, and I was genuinely shocked that we'd created the buzz or that there was a big fan base already for One. We sold out several weeks in advance, but on top of it, we hit record-breaking viewership numbers on Amazon for the event, but also we trended #1 on Twitter for sports, above NBA and all the other popular sports properties here. So that was very surprising. Again, the word is probably shocked. I didn't realize that we had a fan base in the US. Our brand is definitely still very nascent here. But I think Amazon's, the fact that Amazon has 200 million subscribers obviously helps a lot.
And getting into the United States, like obviously One's rule set is a tad different from what like UFC Bellator run with. Was that difficult getting to commissions to agree to like the knees to the ground, or was that pretty easy for you guys?
No, I mean, we've been planning our U.S. entry for about 4 years now, and obviously it hit a snafu with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a few years in the making, and we've been very happy. I mean, my team here on the ground in the U.S. has been very happy with the receptivity from the various athletic commissions, and I think it's basically all evidence based. We've had I don't know how many thousand of fights we've had over the years, but the empirical evidence shows that the global rule set is equally as safe as the unified rule set, and actually, promotes more finishes and more excitement for fans.
And then I know One's announced they're coming back to the States 4 times next year.
Yep.
Like, what do you think that's going to do just for the overall growth of like getting it back into like different places and getting in front of actual people where they can see live rather than just watching online?
Yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, we are increasing our efforts for our U.S. expansion. It's a huge priority market for us, and again, having a great partner like Amazon. But we also have a great partner in CAA as well, who's been with us for about 7 years. We've been together with CAA for about 7 years, and they've really helped the charge around the world, but also in the U.S. And Horizon Sports and Media, led by David Levy. So we've got a lot of support in the B2B ecosystem, and of course the fan support. So it only makes sense for us to come once a quarter next year, and hopefully that's just a bare bones minimum in terms of what we're going to do next year. Knock on wood, we're working on some big and exciting things.
Have other commissions or states reached out to you to bring
Yeah.
one to their
Yep.
commission after seeing how successful it was in Colorado?
Definitely. So those discussions are ongoing, and we have a few states that have already approved the global rule set, and so state by state working through and trying to show in bringing one here, the most, we believe, obviously, but take it with a grain of salt, I believe that it's the most exciting promotion on the planet. Of course, we have the highest finish rate, almost 70% finish rate versus the other incumbent players who might have around 30 to 40% finish rate. And of course, as you know, fans love finishes.
And then with like going to the States, like were you surprised like the reception was like? Because obviously it is like in North America, it is prominently dominant by the UFC just because they're there all the time. Like you guys are in the Asian market. I know it's obviously on Amazon, but are you surprised by how well received, like how big one is over
Yeah,
here?
no, definitely. I mean, I had some inkling because I've been in the States a lot for work. And, every time I come here, I train, at different martial arts schools. It's just part of my daily regimen. And so I knew that our brand was very strong within the martial arts community, right? Those who practice jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, et cetera. And even the MMA gyms across the country were, extremely popular. So we knew that. We just didn't understand that we actually had a fan base here. Being once a month on even though it's prime time, 8 p.m. Friday Eastern Standard Time, once a month is still only once a month. So I feel like we've only just put our toes in the water, and next year we'll put our foot in the water, and hopefully things go from there, and then we'll jump full on head into the swimming pool. I think it's the fact that we're 180 degrees opposite of anything that exists here in the U.S. I think whether it's our multiple discipline platform, whether it's our ethos of martial arts, of authentic martial arts, it's a very different approach, and something that American fans are very excited about.
Something I love about one is the kickboxing Muay Thai with the 4 ounce gloves. Like for you, like I think it just like for every fan, it kind of makes for more exciting fights. Like when did you guys kind of think of doing that, not doing the traditional like Muay Thai gloves or boxing gloves?
That was several years ago. I think we started our striking product about 5 years ago. It's called One Super Series, and we started 5 or 6 years ago. But it was also years in the making. And again, my personal background, having done almost 40 years of Muay Thai as a student and competitor, a teacher, a coach, etc., and now a CEO. I know for a fact that, I mean, the reason why the vast majority of elite world championship mixed martial artists, mixed martial artists train in Muay Thai is because it's one of the best striking arts there are. Full stop. It's one of the most efficient and most simple and most devastating. And I'm from Thailand, so it just completely made sense to blow it up into a big global sport. The fandom that's there around the world, but the athletes as well. There's world championship caliber athletes from Europe, from the U.S., from Latin America, for the sport of Muay Thai. And so it just, the moment was ripe. And the 4 ounce gloves are insane action.
And with one, like it seems like year over year, it is getting a lot more popular and bigger. Like for you, like what is that like for you guys? Just kind of continuing to get on this growth, especially like around the world. It's not just like
Yeah.
Asia anymore.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we're broadcast live every Friday to 179 countries around the world. We've done broadcast partnerships with the largest broadcasters in every region, every country. So in the US, yes, it's Amazon on digital with 200 million subscribers. But if you go to Latin America, it's Globo with, and Cambache. It's the biggest broadcaster in Brazil and Latin America. You go to Europe, it's Bein Sports. You go to Australia, it's Seven Network. You go to Japan, it's Abima TV with 100 million subscribers. If you go to, I mean, that's been the plan, is basically country by country, working with the biggest and best broadcasters. And I think that's a big reason for why One Championship's popularity has skyrocketed in the last several years, is really being on all these different huge platforms and showcasing it literally live, in a live event every Friday in prime time here in Asia, and hopefully prime time down the road in other geographies.
Something I want to touch on is obviously Victoria Lee, who's like the whole family is kind of royalty in Hawaii, like important to BJ as well. Like, how heartbreaking was that when obviously you guys found out the news about Victoria?
It was definitely heartbreaking. I've obviously throughout the years been very and then continue to be very close with the parents, Ken and Jules, and Angela, Christian, Victoria, and Adrian. Watched them literally grow up before my eyes, and so obviously it was very devastating. Angela will be making an announcement on September 1st regarding her career and all these different things, and so I think stay tuned for her announcement in September 1st, and she'll be flying to Singapore for the Atomweight World Title fight, and also making another big statement and doing an open Q&A live during that event. So I think fans around the world are have asked a lot of questions, and she wants to have everything answered come September.
And that is something I want to touch on. Like, obviously, both them are champions, but like for you, I know you're running a promotion. Like, you kind of have to have these belts defended. But like, was it just basically like telling them like take as long as possible as they need, or was there like a time
No,
frame?
for sure. I mean, it's the Lee family has always been a very tight knit, very very close. I mean, I haven't seen a family like that probably ever, where the parents and the kids are super close, and there's so much love and just so much harmony, and really it's a very close knit family. So obviously it's extremely devastating when an 18-year-old potential future superstar, world champion, but more importantly, a sibling and a daughter passes away. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. We haven't really talked work at all. I've been to Hawaii to visit Victoria's final resting place and spend some time with her parents and Angela, etc. And really just, as I said in prior interviews, I just fans around the world, the best thing we can do for the Lee family is to support them with our love and prayers. You never wish anything like this would happen to any family, and it's just, it's very sad.
Just a couple more things is with Demetrius Johnson. He's someone I want to ask about, just because that trade I think has worked out pretty well for you and one championship in general. Like, how pleased you with that result of the trade, and like kind of seeing what he's done, and like kind of having that big rivalry with Adriano.
Yeah, no, it's been great. DJ's still in his prime, very much in his prime. I think, Ben Askren had retired for 2 years. He had a career-ending hip injury when the trade had happened, and so I think it just made sense. And for us, as much as I respect and love Ben, Demetrius was still very much on the rise in his career, and he had some setbacks in one. DJ got knocked out for the first time in his career by Adriano, but then he bounced back and I guess proved once again why he's the GOAT of mixed martial arts. I mean, literally, no one's ever achieved what he's achieved. Obviously with the record title defenses in the UFC, but also winning a world title in two of the largest organizations in the world. The deepest roster. I mean, it just speaks volumes to what an athlete, what a martial artist DJ is.
Are those trades like something you're still going to explore in the future? Like, MMA trades aren't something we see very like ever outside of like DJ. Really, like, is that still something like you would be open to talking to other promotions if it made sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, why not? It happens in other sports, and I see no reason why it wouldn't happen here in the sport of mixed martial arts. And of course, I think all the major global players, ONE, UFC, and Bellator are very, I think, very, very strategic about their roster, right? So, I think I think it'll happen in the future again. I don't know how often.
And then with Bellator, like, there's been a lot of talk about them selling it up for sale. Like, is that something you guys have even checked in on, just to like kind of see what that would look like if you were able to acquire them, or is that something like you're not too interested in?
Our strong preference, as it has been for the last 11 plus years since I founded the company, is to grow organically. I truly believe we have the world's greatest roster. I would, do a co-promotion with the UFC in a heartbeat, champion versus champion. I'd love to do that. It's no secret that the global combat sports industry is now a global duopoly, right? You have a giant, I think a year ago or so, Nielsen came out with the top 20 largest global sports properties on the planet, and only the UFC and ONE were in the top 10. I think UFC ONE was ranked number 4 in terms of size of viewership numbers, and UFC was number 8 or something like that. So, we are the two 800-pound gorillas in terms of viewership, fandom, and engagement. And we both have the deepest rosters on the planet. We're slightly different, or actually very different from each other in our approach of our brand and our ethos, but also the roster. UFC is very focused solely on MMA. It's the world's largest MMA organization. And ONE is focused on a whole platform of multi-discipline. So we're the world's largest martial arts organization. And, the world has 8 billion people. And it's a big, big place. And there's definitely room for two mega giants, in the combat sports industry.
And then something else I want to touch on is obviously the weight cutting, and we kind of fully got to see it in America for the first time in Denver. Like, what it was kind of the reception like from the commission, kind of like overall from the fighters. It's like I've always felt like weight cutting is like pretty bad, and like especially how much weight some of these guys are cutting. Like for you, like what is kind of the reception like with the new program? Well, not new, but like the program you guys use.
So it was again very well received by the state athletic commissions. Denver very smoothly. Athletes love it. Athletes have loved it for many years here at ONE, and I think American athletes are going to love it as well. It's for too long we've had an antiquated system of weight cutting, right, in combat sports, where you drop 15, 20 pounds in a day or 2 days to make weight, and then you regain all that weight, water weight, 24 hours later when the fight begins. So you're actually, even though you weigh in at 155, you actually weigh 180 the day of the fight. That's an antiquated system, and we wanted to ensure the health of our athletes and the safety of our athletes, and having a hydrated system is far better, so that athletes don't go put their bodies through deep dehydration. That's very bad for the organs, very bad for the brain, very bad for the body. And so yeah, we're excited to lead the way in innovation and safety for athletes around the world.
Do you think that is something that like could like be like the new rule set for like MMA, and like it is
Sure,
like every promotion?
Definitely. You've had folks who've competed under the old weight cutting regime, whether it's I don't know, a Sage Northcutt or a DJ, and they'll tell you they feel like 100 times better during fight week. They feel healthier, stronger than they were having to cut a lot of water weight. Right? It's just so again, it's beneficial. It's what other sport do you dehydrate yourself? I mean, you don't see that Super Bowl, the teams dehydrating themselves by 10, 15, 20 pounds of water weight. And then compete at their very best. No, to compete at your very best, your body has to be super healthy, super primed, and not go through the crazy water cut that's been around for, I don't know, 100 years or something. I don't know in combat sports how long it's been, but it's been obviously decades. And it's just an antiquated, flawed system. So I really feel like ONE is leading the charge in innovation and athlete safety around the world, not just in the U.S.
Just a couple more things. One free agent I think make a lot of sense. One is obviously Michael Page, with him announcing he's a free agent, just like with him being able to do kickbox and all that stuff. Like, is that someone you guys have reached out to or plan on reaching out to?
We haven't reached out yet to Michael Page because, from our understanding, he's under matching for the next year or something like that. So I think he's a very exciting fighter. I think he's very fun. I think he would, his skill set would do very well in ONE with the multi-disciplines, whether it's mixed martial arts or kickboxing or even Muay Thai for Michael Page. But we haven't reached out to him again because he's still under matching period, exclusive matching period, I believe still. So.
And then one other fighter that you kind of went back and forth a bit was Ngannou over his free agency. He kind of said you guys never reached out and everything. Like, what kind of happened with that whole situation?
No. Francis never said that at all. Yeah, no. What happened was my team, Matt Hume in particular, was speaking with Markel.
Yeah, that was it.
And they've been going back and forth on an offer in written form and in verbal form, and they've been going back. And it came down to our final written offer, and we never submitted the final written offer. And that was it. So it was the media is trying to make it like something very dramatic, but it really wasn't. Francis and I met one time, and did I think that he would have done very well, or that one was a great fit for his career ambitions? Yes, definitely. But kudos to him for getting everything he's gotten. There's no ill will or bad blood. I mean, Francis is a great champion, as I've always said. Even when he didn't sign with one, I always said, but it just didn't work out. We just weren't comfortable with submitting our final written offer, so we just did it.
Just final thing, like for you, what is the future of one kind of look like for you when you kind of look like a couple years in advance?
So, I mean, I think it's very clear, again, according to Nielsen, that global industry report on the sports industry that came out a year ago or so, the two largest players in the world of combat sports is ONE and the UFC. Depending on metric, we're bigger than them. They're bigger than us, depending on the metric. But they're two global giants, and I think there's room for two global giants, and it's a global duopoly. And it's a very good place, a healthy place for athletes, for pay, for fame, for fandom, for outside competition opportunities, and we're growing still very fast. I get our metrics every week across different countries, and whether it's digital metrics, social metrics, or TV metrics, our numbers continue to break record highs. And I'm here in the States. I was in New York last week. I'm in LA this week, and with tons of meetings with the B2B ecosystem, and looking forward to our 4 events here in the US.
Just final thing, we got someone in to say something to you.
BJ,
BJ, you're muted.
You're buddy.
You're muted.
You got to unmute yourself. BJ, unmute yourself. You're on mute.
To you guys?
There we go.
Oh, hey.
All right, BJ.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
On. How's it going, Cole? And I'm finally glad I got to get on the show with Chatri. I'm really proud of all the things that you've done. You've done such great work for everything, and you got a good show, man. And I know about shows because JD, he did the Rumble on the Rock and all these things. We worked with K1 and stuff, so I'm really impressed by the shows you guys put on. I love how you guys are doing that the Muay Thai fights with the little gloves.
Yeah.
Hey, when you guys. I guess the big question is, when are you guys coming to Hawaii?
We've been talking to the Hawaii Athletic Commission for some time now, for the last few years.
Okay.
The governor is excited to have one as well. So, I think it's just going to take time. But, just like we had our show in Denver, the State Athletic Commission really loved the show and loved the global rule set. So I think we've seen it more and more states have reached out and they're adopting approving the global rule set. So it's only a matter of time. But yeah, I mean, I know we have a fan base in Hawaii, man, because the Hawaiians are crazy. The Hawaiians are crazy. It's a fighting island. And BJ, you started it all off, man. The whole let's scrap.
Man, right. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I'm a huge fan of BJ. Because I do jiu-jitsu, right? When everyone's like, whenever I ask who's the most talented guy you've ever, in jiu-jitsu, BJ Penn, 3 years from white to black. And it blows my mind, bro. Like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 16 years, and I'm still a brown belt. I'll probably get my black in the next year or so. But I'm like, how the hell did you? So I met with Half. This was like several months ago, and Half was still saying how you were the single greatest, most talented jiu-jitsu practitioner he's ever seen. So.
Oh man, Half came and did a seminar with us in Hilo not too long ago, and just and every move he showed me, I've never seen it before. I was like, look at this guy, he's still doing his thing, man. And I'll tell you how Half Gracie, how he learns his moves. He does them, and then he figures out later how to teach them. But Half, he's one of the most dangerous people to ever walk the earth. Half Gracie. Sure. He's just such an amazing person. Such an amazing person.
So BJ, are you still training and stuff, or what are you up to? Or are you just enjoying life?
You know what? Actually, I had a hard time letting my identity go and moving on to life without fighting. It was really hard for me. But then I got into this the governor thing, and I did the governor run, and that kind of pulled me out of the out of that. It's hard for a fighter to walk away when that's your whole life,
Yep.
And it kind of pulled me out of that, and I've just I haven't. What's the problem though? Now that I got pulled out of it, I haven't been able to work. I haven't worked out as much because it's not in my mind. It would never leave my mind. You know how jiu-jitsu is. You're taking a shower and you're brushing your teeth and you can't stop thinking about it. And then it left, but I'm kind of sad it left, but I haven't been working out as much as I should. I actually got to do a seminar today over in at one of my gyms over here in Oahu, but I it's hard to find that happy medium. It really is. And I was with Tito and Rampage and Frank Mir a couple months ago. We were in Arizona, and all they would talk about was their next fight. And I looked over and I was like, wait, you guys are older than me, and you guys are talking about your guys' next fight. And I'm just like, wow. I don't blame them. If I didn't have this whole journey where I went on that governor race, I would be right there. I'd be like, hey, when are you coming to Hawaii? I want to fight. I'd be saying that same thing. But, these new kids come up and they're so good and they're so strong. And I even told Jason Perillo, I said, hey, because me and Jason, we talk every day, right? I go, Jason, I said, just stop talking. I said, you got a tattoo. You got to want it on your head and then just go out and give the guy water and look at him and he'll just read the directions right on your head, because that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter who's better. It doesn't matter who's got more skills. It's about who wants it the most. And 100%. You got to want it, man. You got to want it.
And the reality is this is also a young man's game. It's like, doesn't matter how much skills you have, how much experience you have. It's like, if you get a young, fresh 21-year-old who's super hungry, nothing to lose, it's a tough battle out there,
Yes, without a doubt. The less you know, the better off you are, because
That's a good point. Oh man, for sure. When you don't know how dangerous something is, you're like, let's go. But after you do it for many years, you realize, holy shit, this stuff is, it's deadly and it works both ways.
Yes, it's like jumping off a waterfall when you're a kid.
Oh,
oops.
I think it's probably Wi-Fi went out in the car.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, now we lost his sound.
Now your audio is fucked. Yeah.
No.
No, can't hear you.
Nothing. It was such a good conversation.
All right. It was a good conversation, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chatri. Thank you, BJ, for coming on. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye. All right. We're jumping UFC light heavyweight Dustin Jacoby, who's back in action in August 5th. Dustin, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me. And yeah, getting prepared for August 5th. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, obviously fighting August against Kennedy, like after that last fight, like was this about the right time frame for you to return then?
Yeah, I wanted to get in there fairly quick. I wanted to get that, the bad loss out of my mouth, the bad taste, and get back in the winning side of things. And that matchup was presented with me. And, I really do like the matchup for myself. And, Kennedy's a big, strong, powerful guy. He's on the rise, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
But what do you take away from that last fight? Like, obviously, Azamat is looking like kind of the real deal. Like, obviously, that was a tough one.
Well, you know what I took away? He was extremely quick, man.
Mm-hmm.
At weigh-ins, when I stood in front of him, I'm like, man, this guy is small. Like, I just felt way bigger than him. But I was very cautious and aware of his power. And, of course, he showed me the power in the fight. He dropped me in the first round. Second round was pretty close. And 15 seconds left in the round, man, he dropped me again. Of course, I was able to get back up really quick. I felt like I dominated the third round, but I think that he definitely won rounds 1 and 2. And he just surprised me with how quick he was. He was super, super quick, man. And probably one of the fastest guys I ever fought.
And I know your wrestling was kind of in there as well. Like, do you kind of wish you went to maybe your wrestling a bit earlier in that fight then?
Yeah, I think so. In the third round, you could see that the wrestling was working for me. And another thing, I thought that he was going to be relentless with the takedown attempt on me, and he really wasn't. He kind of shot a kind of a half-ass takedown, and I kind of caught me off guard, and because he wasn't going for takedowns early on, and we kind of went down, but I got right back up, and it's one thing that tells me is like you watch him fight everybody else, and he's able to take him down and pressure him and control him, and he wasn't able to do that with me. And I wish I would have used my wrestling more to nullify his quickness and get my hands on him and just be the bigger body. But you live and you learn, and I've learned from those mistakes, and moving on to the next matchup.
And with Kennedy, like, how familiar are you with him? Like, obviously been in the UFC for a bit now.
Yeah, we fought some similar opponents. I've been around him in the back between my fights and his fights, and cornering other fighters. And I think he's a great dude. I think he's impressive. He's a big guy. He's a guy that if you watch his fights, he looks like he gets clipped in a lot of them, but
Mhm.
then he seems to pick it up. It seems like when he gets clipped is when he starts fighting hard, and when the fight gets chaotic, he kind of thrives in that. So it'll be a very interesting matchup. He has my respect, man. I think he's a good dude. I think he's a good fighter, and I think it's going to be a fun fight for the fans.
What have you made of his UFC run? Like, after that, like, Dan Jung fight and the one after, which I thought he did win, like, since then he's obviously won 3 in a row, 3 finishes, and it looks like very impressive and beat some pretty good guys in that run.
Yeah, he's doing really well, man. He's on a good little streak right now. We fought the fight I remember him sticking out to me is when he fought Deun Jung, and I think that's because I was fighting Deun Jung after that. So I started following him a little bit more, and then he fought Carl Roberson, who I had fought in Glory, and he just was a guy that I was like, man, I could see myself if he continues to do his thing, I continue to do my thing. We'll be meeting up with each other, and we're right there on the brink. I am in the top 15. He's on the brink of the top 15, and we're both two fighters very capable and of being in the top 15. So I need to go out there and defend my place, and maybe he'll get into the top 15 later on in his career. But right now, I just got to do whatever it takes to defend my spot in the top 15.
And he is a very tall and like rangy guy. Like, he's like 6'5" or 6'6", like has like an 83-inch reach. Like, he's a very big guy for the divisions. Like, how do you kind of get ready to deal with that? Because obviously that is a pretty sizable reach advantage he has.
Yeah, it is. He's a big guy, but I feel I fight better against big guys. I fight better when guys are a little bit bigger. I feel like I'm quicker. My cardio is never an issue. I work diligently on my cardio and make sure I go into each fight the best shape that I am. And the Askar fight, if there was a couple more rounds, there's no doubt in my mind. I feel like I would have taken it. He was pretty dead after the 3 rounds, and I was wearing on him in the third round, but unfortunately, you only get the 3 rounds, 15 minutes to get it done, and I wasn't able to do that. But I feel like, I'm a better fighter when I fight bigger guys. That's why at 185, I fought the majority of my career, especially early in my career at 185, but guys were quicker than me. They were smaller than me, and they were beating me to the punch. And at 205, I feel like I beat guys to the punch. So I really like the matchup.
Going into this one, like, how much pressure is on you? Like, just coming off the 2 losses, like, never really want to lose 3 in a row. Like, how much pressure is on you?
Yeah, I don't feel the pressure. I'm trying to have fun with this one. My After I lost that fight to Khalil with the split decision loss, that I just really did not. That left a super sour taste in my mouth. I did not believe I lost that fight, and a lot of other people didn't either. It was a good fight. I'm not taking anything away from him. I
Mhm.
just thought as the duration of the fight went on that I won. And then that's when I felt a lot of pressure going into the Askar fight. He was an undefeated Russian. I wanted to make a statement that the judges may have told me I lost, but I'm going to win this fight. And there was a lot of pressure, and I felt like just through camp, I just wasn't the same person. I was much more. I wasn't as relaxed. I wasn't as lighthearted and easygoing. I was just more focused and determined to go and get the W at all costs. And that's really not like me, man. I just need to go with the flow and just easy going and chill and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And I felt like I wasn't doing that with my last fight. This fight, I really feel like I am. To answer your question, I don't feel a lot of pressure. Obviously, you never want to lose 3 in a row,
Mhm.
but when you're in the top 15, man, fighting the best guys in the world, it's tough, man. The top 1%, that the competition is so fierce, and there's so little room for error, and it can be can consume you a little bit when you get to thinking about it. But I feel really relaxed, easygoing, and I feel really good about this matchup.
Just the usual guys, like I imagine, like obviously Anthony, Josh, who's fighting a bit after you, like Cody, like kind of the usual guys you've been working with for this one.
Yeah, Josh and I have been getting really good work in. He's fighting Jamie Pickett, a taller guy. I'm fighting Kennedy. He's a taller guy, and Josh fights the week after me, so we've been getting after it. We have a new kid on the team. His name's Derek, and he's 6'5" and a real good stand-up guy. So he's been great to work with. Of course, Anthony's back. Rob Wilkinson, PFL light heavyweight, big, powerful guy. Been training a lot with him. Julian Marquez, Cody Brundage, Austin Jones, all those guys, man. We have the same crew at Factory X, and there's no easy rounds in there when I'm going with all the big guys.
And with this one, like, how do you kind of see it playing out? Like, obviously, Kennedy has shown to be pretty durable. Like, I know he did get knocked out by Dan Jung, but like, he's taken some big shots by a lot of guys. Like Carlos Alberg, like, couldn't put him away. So, like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
Yeah, well, just like I answered it every single time, man. I picture myself catching him and getting a big knockout or TKO finish. I know he's very durable and a big guy, but he has been clipped in his fights, and I just got to take my time, be patient, and find that right button. And I have good cardio, man. So when the fight, and I have the experience, man. I've got a ton of experience in there, much more than him, and. I think when the tough gets going, man, that's when I really thrive, and he does too. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I definitely see myself getting my hands raised and getting back in the winner's circle.
What do you think a win, especially a finish, does for you? Like, obviously, I ranked 15th. Like, I imagine, well, you should be higher just because Paul Craig's still in division and he's down to middleweight. Like, I imagine Crute will probably get removed soon. It's like, I feel like you're really like 14, 13-ish. But like, what do you think a win over Kennedy does for you?
It does wonders, man. I mean, the unfortunate thing, I had such a good streak going, and that the streak was taken away from me against Khalil. That would have probably put me in the top 10. The fight against Azmat Mirzakhanov, I mean, he's number 8 right now. And so the division is really thin. You got a lot of guys at the top that are out right now. They're injured or they're not fighting for whatever reason. And the light heavyweight division is looking for contenders. Jamal Hill's looking for guys to fight, especially with some of the guys in the top 5, top 10 that are injured and recovering from injuries like Rakic and some others. So I think a big win, a big finish, a big statement puts me right up there, and maybe one more I can sneak into a title shot. You never know, man. The timing's everything, and like I said, the division's pretty thin right now. They're looking for guys to step up and be contenders, and that's certainly what I want to be and what I'm trying to do with this fight.
Yeah, what do you think of the top division? Like, I know Hill's kind of been trying to fight for a while. They're waiting for a year. He was hurt, and like Ankalaev, like, there's been no real update on what's next for him. And then obviously Blachowicz is fighting Pereira, which obviously should be a good fight. Then Rakic is still out, and there's kind of the top 5, and like none of them are really ready other than Blachowicz.
That's what I mean, man. The guy, like the opportunity is right now. There's never been a greater opportunity. If Pereira goes in there and gets a big knockout, he'll probably be fighting Jamal Hill for the title. I have history with Pereira. We fought before in Glory Kickboxing, and he actually reached out to me, wanting to do a little training together, which I think would be really cool. So you never know, man. I think the division's wide open, and we'll just have to see what happens after August 5th.
Just because you fought Alex, like, do you think he's been a light heavyweight this entire time? Like, I thought it was crazy that he was making 185. Like, I feel like he's going to do pretty well at 205.
Yeah, I think he'll do really well at 205, man. He's one of the best fighters on the planet and one of the fiercest strikers there is, I think there's ever been. The guy has incredible power. He's really long and rangy. I think he's going to do well at 205. Now, this is a tough matchup with him if Jan goes in and just takes him down and really tries to control him. But he's been training with Glover Teixeira, who I guarantee you is doing that same thing to him every day. So it's going to be a great fight. And I think the winner is probably going to get a title shot.
Just a couple more things. I did want to touch on Anthony's fight. Like, I was a bit surprised to see them running back Span already, just because of kind of how one side that fight was. Like, were you kind of surprised to see that fight booking as well?
Yeah, I was really surprised, and I couldn't believe it. But with it, running it back so quick and as dominant as Anthony finished it, but I think it was a fight that was presented to him, and he hopped all over it. Obviously he has the confidence, and he's already beat him once. He's like, why would I not go in there and do it again? So interesting matchup. Ryan Span's a guy that I kind of had my eyes on, and especially after that Dominic Reyes fight, which was like a week after I got robbed of the Khalil Roundtree fight, and I really was wanting that fight to materialize, and obviously I took the L and he got the big win, so it didn't work out, but hopefully Anthony goes in there and does his thing once again.
And have you been getting much golfing during camp then, or what?
So I have been, yeah. I golf a couple times a week, usually every other weekend or so. Game's pretty sharp right now. I was available. I was able to play in a pro-am back in Illinois a couple weeks ago. That was really cool. I got to go and meet one of my idols, Tony Romo. I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan and always was a big supporter of number 9. And got to play in a little tournament with him. Got to play with some other pro golfers, and I played really well. So the golf game's cooking right now, and I'm actually going to take it easy. I passed up on a free round at the Broadmoor on Wednesday, which is, you mentioned that course to anybody. It's one of the most just historic, awesome courses there is around here. And I passed it up just because it's going to be a long day with training camp and we're getting closer to the fight. So starting to dial in on the fight, and then we'll pick golf back up after August 5th.
Do you like, I know you said you dialed back a little, like, is that just basically like closer? Like, how close do you kind of get when you stop golf, or do you stop golf at all then?
Well, the thing is, golf, we already train. We're training. I get all of my training done in the mornings. Then when you play in the afternoon, it's very fatiguing, man. I mean,
Mhm.
it takes a lot out of you being out in the sun, and not just physically, but mentally. If,
Yeah.
if you're going out to, of course, I go out to have fun, but I also go out to do well, and I go out to score low, and I'm focused every single shot. And when you do that, 75 to 85 times a round, it can get pretty overwhelming at times. And then on top of the training, I just come home exhausted and not really fueled up for the next day. So as it gets a little bit closer, about a month out, I try to stay out of the sun as much, and just focus really on the training and get home and rest and recover.
Anyone in the gym getting close to you, or are you still smoking them all?
No, no one in the gym. My coach is pretty good. He can play. My coach's son is really good. He only started playing within the last couple years, and he's doing really well too. He's a sophomore in high school, and those guys are always fun to play with. But as far as the guys that actually fight and train, nah, they don't stand a chance.
Just final thing, like, you get past Kennedy, like, what is the goal then for the rest of the year? Like, I imagine at least one more in.
Yeah, I'd like to get at least one more towards the end of the year, maybe end of the year card. If I get a big finish, make a big statement, go in there and get another big fight at year end, and hopefully once again be knocking on that top 10. And as I mentioned earlier, timing's everything. The division's wide open. If I can get a couple big wins in a row, man, you never know what can happen.
Actually, just one quick thing. I didn't even ask about fighting in Nashville. I forgot it was there till now. Like, fighting in Nashville in front of fans as well. Like, how exciting is that for you?
Yeah, super exciting, man. I love the crowd. I love the fans. I'm going to have a lot of family and friends once again. I have a huge support group and a big following that makes this a lot more enjoyable, and it's always good to see them. But, they asked me at the beginning when this fight materialized, hey, do you want to fight August 12th at the Apex, or do you want to fight August 5th in Nashville? I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer, man. I want to fight Nashville with the crowd right at Bridgestone Arena, right on Broadway, man. That place is going to be popping.
Well, Dustin, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
For sure, buddy. You have a good day.
Yeah. All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Billy Quarantillo, who's back in action at UFC Nashville. Billy, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, Cole. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, big one in Nashville. Like, obviously, last fight didn't go your way. Like, was this about the right time frame for you, fighting in August after that one?
Yeah, this was a fight that after losing, any fighter can attest to. You're only as good as your last fight. People remember your last fight, especially such a high-profile fight, getting knocked out in the co-main event to Edson Barbosa. It was very interesting. Before the fight, I wanted to be super active this year. I wanted to fight 3 times. After the whole weight cut and getting ready for that fight, I was like, go beat this guy, and maybe we can take a little bit of time off. But then I only got to fight for a couple of minutes, and he caught me with that knee. And then right after, I basically told my manager, let me take a couple of days and see how I feel. And within the next couple of days, I didn't really have any concussion symptoms. I didn't have any issues with my brain or anything like that. So I took a little bit of time off from sparring, but I definitely wanted to get back in the cage, and they offered me this fight pretty soon after. And I said, you know what, let's do it. Like, we're not getting any younger. I know what I have to do to get back in the top 15, to get back, these big opportunities. And if I can go out there and smoke Damon Jackson and get a big finish, then I'm right back where I wanted to be anyway.
Your last fight against Edson, like, what do you take away from that? Like, you were having some success with the grappling, and then he kind of just caught you with that knee.
Yeah. I've obviously gone back and watched it a few times. my game plan was working really good. It was, one of those fights I wanted to push him up against the cage. I wanted to make him grapple. I wanted to make him work a little bit. And then I just got a little bit too predictable with my attempts, pushing him up against the cage, looking for that level change, looking for that takedown. I did the same setup twice in a row. And going against a guy like Edson Barbosa, if you make that same mistake twice, he's going to catch you. And now all I can do is look back on it. And I should have done this. I should have done that. But I still feel like I could right my wrong. And it's going to be a long year, and I could still make this the best year of my life if I can go get a huge win against Damon and then maybe end the year with another big win.
And with Damon, like, I thought this was a fight that was just kind of bound to happen. We're given, like, you two are both like super close to the rankings. Like, is this a fight you kind of always assumed was going to happen at some point?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, especially he was on like a nice little 4-fight winning streak before he lost to Dan Ige. And then after they offered me him, then I looked at what he's done, the guys he's beat. We both beat Camiola Kirk. We both just lost in co-main events to top 15 guys. So it makes sense. The fight definitely makes sense. He isn't the most popular guy, and he's definitely not the most exciting guy, but that doesn't change the fact that he's super tough. He's a very good wrestler. If you make any mistakes, he's going to take you down, and he doesn't mind taking you down and holding you down and making it boring. So that's stuff that we've been working on this whole training camp. The style is completely different than Edson Barbosa. So we're doing exactly what we need to do to make sure we can capitalize on the things that he has holes in his game and really make up for what we did wrong in the last fight.
And then I know you were out at Vegas for National Fight Week. Like, I know you were out there with Matt. Like, are you, other than that, like, is the full training camp in Florida, or is there plans to go up there and work with them?
Yeah, no, unfortunately I didn't get a chance to go to Long Island this training camp. I love getting out there, but it wasn't a very long training camp. We only had a few months. We only had a couple months to really prepare for this guy. So International Fight Week worked out perfectly. Me and Frivola got some really good work in. I got some good work at Extreme Couture. Shout out to all those guys they're always welcoming me. And, of course, Frivola is going to be in my corner. We always corner each other. We've been doing that for years now in the UFC. So I know what I have to do already. I didn't really need to go anywhere else. I feel like I have a really good camp. We have a bunch of really good grapplers at Gracie Tampa South, where I'm at right now. My head coach, Matt Arroyo, this is his specialty, is preparing for high-level grapplers. So he's loving this training camp right now. I'm going up against a bunch of really good grapplers, really good wrestler. It's just like a daily grind, and I think you're going to see a great performance in a couple weeks here.
And with Damon, like, do you think you've really fought anyone like him? Like, I was looking at your record, like, last couple of fights have all kind of been like these strikers, and he's kind of the total opposite of who you've been fighting lately.
Yeah, I thought Mark Stevens was very similar to him, just a very, he was a D1 wrestler. I fought a guy, Ryan Fillingame, who was very similar, good wrestler, just wanted to get the fight to the ground. And going against guys in my gym, there's a lot of guys that are very similar to what he does. He's very unorthodox on the feet, so there's some things I got to be careful with. We saw him knock out Pat Sabatini, and he will strike with you a little bit, but really it's to set up his grappling. And a lot of the guys at my gym are good grapplers anyway, so it's very similar to what I'm used to seeing in the gym. So, I've seen that look before, and we know what he wants to do, and he probably knows what I want to do too, which is to knock him out.
With Damon too, like, how quickly are you kind of expecting him to shoot? Like, do you think he'll even stand long, or do you think it's going to be an early shot for him?
Yeah, either way, I'm fine with it either way. I imagine he's probably going to shoot pretty early, but if he doesn't, if he wants to stand and trade and test his striking, it's just going to give me more opportunities to knock him out. And when he realizes he's not going to get me to the ground that easily, then the fight's going to play out exactly how I want it to.
And your biggest weapon, I think, is your cardio. And I think especially here too against Damon, who wants to grapple, and like if he exerts a lot of energy not getting those takedowns, like how important I think that is, or just your pace and kind of being able to drag these fights out late.
Yeah, it's definitely not a secret that I don't mind going I don't mind getting in these dog fights and using a lot of energy. He's got to be cautious of that. I think he does have good cardio, and he's one of those guys. He does have a good grind. He's been wrestling his whole life, I think. So yeah, I'm prepared for like one of those fights that it's gonna be very exhausting. I'm prepared to not being able to do much after the fight, but I'm gonna leave it all in there. And every single session that I'm doing right now in this training camp, we're basically going until I'm exhausted. I can't go anymore. We're throwing fresh guys in on me. I think my coaches like it. They like watching when I'm dead tired and they're throwing another fresh guy in at me. But I'm fine with suffering as much as I can right now, and then when it comes August 5th, I'll be prepared for that high pace 15 minutes of high intensity grappling, striking, and doing whatever I have to do to get the win.
And fourth straight fight in front of fans too. I think you might finally be out of the apex after your past couple fights, like showing how excited you are. Like, how big of a relief was it that it's in front of fans, and Nashville, like a pretty sweet city to go to.
Yeah, man. I feel like nature is healing. We're getting out of the apex. We're finally living that dream of fighting in sold out arenas and in sold out stadiums. Obviously, the last one didn't go our way, but I'm just grateful to be in this position. And this is gonna be my 9th UFC fight already, which is pretty crazy. Especially since there was a point on the Ultimate Fighter when I didn't get in the UFC, and there was a small part of me that wasn't sure if I was ever going to get the chance to fight once in the UFC. So to go out there to be making my 9th walk in the UFC, it's just super exciting, and I'm going to give it everything I got. Just like I'm waking up like the Rents do, and I'm going to go out there and get a huge win and get back on track.
How much pressure, if any, is on you? Like, obviously coming off the loss to Edson, like never really want to lose two in a row in the UFC. Like, is there a lot of pressure on you coming into this one?
Well, yeah, I've never lost 2 fights in a row in my entire career, so it's anytime you lose, there's always a lot of pressure. But just being in the UFC, there's always a lot of pressure. You don't want to lose ever, and they put so much emphasis on the show money, win money. It's basically half your paycheck going into win. So, and especially coming off a loss. Being 5-3 in the UFC, I don't want to be anywhere near 500. I want to, keep getting wins. So I always put a ton of pressure on myself. There isn't really any added pressure, but every fight in the UFC, it's a high pressure fight. And that's why I think going into each one, there's a lot of nerves there, because it's either going to be like one of the best days of your career or one of the worst days when you lose. So it's nothing new for this one. And I'm really excited for it. And I'm just trying to be grateful just to be in the position I'm in.
I don't know if you know this either, but Damon also never lost 2 in a row. So, like, what do you think is it where you guys have both kind of shown to rebound pretty nicely after a loss?
Yeah, I mean, we're both 2 high-level fighters, and he's definitely someone I'm taking seriously. A lot of people are like, they've never even heard of him before, but I've been watching him. I know his game. I understand his game. I've watched a few of his fights even before we got matched up. And let the best man win, man. I can't wait to get in there and do it and show out in front of my friends and family.
How do you kind of see it playing out? Like, I think on paper, this could be a pretty exciting fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super exciting. I think we're the top prelim fight right now, which, it's a little bit, we both lost our last fights. We both fought in the co-main event to go back to the prelims now. It's kind of like one of those things like, all right, now you got to, go out there and get a huge win and put on a performance to get back on those main cards and back in the spotlight. I see it just being an absolute dogfight. I can see us both striking with each other. I can see us both grappling. I don't mind trying to shoot in and take him down. And I think we're going to get a lot of crazy scrambles. And whatever I have to do to get my hand raised, I'm prepared to do it without giving away my whole game plan. A finish is obviously what I'm looking for, and sooner than later.
What do you think a win over Damon does feel like? I have a feeling like winner of this kind of gets right back to where you were before the loss, and it might be a top 15 guy next.
Yeah, I've kind of got over looking for opponents and looking for guys in the top 15. I'm just looking to go there and get a win. I'm not even looking past him. Honestly, I haven't really even thought about it. I just want to go out there and get back on track, get another big win against a guy who's right outside the top 15, and we'll address that when it comes. But honestly, like, I don't even care who I fight next. I just want to go out there and get a win and make a statement.
And then maybe Buffalo or Florida, something like that for the next one. Get you one of those homecoming fights.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. They haven't gone to Buffalo in a while, and they haven't gone to Tampa in a while. Those are definitely two on my bucket list. Like I said earlier this year, I wanted to fight 3 times this year, so I still plan on doing that. I'm 34 now. We'll see how much we got left in the tank. I still feel really young and fresh, and I still feel like I could do this every single day, and it's still what I love to do. But of course, Father Time is undefeated. So I want to go out there and smoke Damon Jackson. Take maybe a couple weeks off, maybe a month off, and then maybe plan for a fight for the end of the year. But again, we're going out there we're putting everything we got into beating Damon Jackson. We got 15 minutes to do it, and I'm ready to make a statement and kind of correct what happened earlier this year.
The 34, like I think it was like last fight I made the fight before. I was looking, I was surprised. Like I thought you were a lot younger than that, just the way you fight and like kind of the way, like I just assumed that like are you surprised you're still like kind of doing this 34? Like have you thought of how much longer you got left? You're still fighting at a high level, and like you don't really show that you are the mid-30s.
Yeah, well, I think I'm one of those fighters. I didn't really start training martial arts until I was like 21. So I just saw on this card on Saturday the 21-year-old won, on the main card in the UFC, and like rewind to when I was 21, I just started training MMA. So I always knew that I was a late starter. I've always put everything I can into this because I couldn't imagine like doing another sport starting at 21. Like you're never gonna make it. So I feel like I am. 34 sounds older, but really I didn't put all those miles on my body until I was 21. So I was late to the dance. So that's why I'm doing everything I can do now. I've already had. This is, again, my 9th UFC fight in 4 years. So we're getting our money's worth these last few years, and we're just going to keep going until the wheels fall off. And like I said, I feel healthy. I've had 2 surgeries in my career, which isn't a lot. I know guys have had 10. And most fights I leave pretty good. We're always partying that night or the next day. And I'm just taking it all in. I'm enjoying the journey. I love coaching these next up and coming guys, but even they know that like it's my time right now, and I'm still doing this and still doing it at a very high level.
Just 2 more things. The OnlyFans thing, I think you gotta clear it up that that you're not using it like that. It's for the fighting.
Yeah. My OnlyFans is they're one of my sponsors. It is just an athlete page. I get it every single day. It's kind of played out, but I think OnlyFans they're starting to get a little bit better with promoting non-sexual content, because I've seen a lot of other stuff like self-defense videos. I've seen cooking videos. I've seen MMA pages. I've seen racing videos. So yeah, it's an OnlyFans MMA athlete page only. I always post on my Instagram, and I'm always posting behind the scenes stuff. We got another episode. We call it Road to the Top, where we're just basically videoing all the behind the scenes stuff. Hopefully my opponent doesn't watch it, because we do a lot of like grappling and mitt work and stuff like that. And I'm grateful that OnlyFans is giving money to fighters like myself. Anytime fighters can get paid not to fight, it's a great thing.
Final thing, Bills season's approaching. What are your kind of thoughts on what they've done this offseason? Like confident going into this season?
Yeah, man, and a fellow Bills fan. That's why I'm always down to talk to Cole. Yeah, you know what? Last year I really didn't like how I feel like last year, going into last season, everyone's like, oh man, the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. They're going to win a Super Bowl. They're the favorite, blah, blah, blah. This year, I think a lot of people are sleeping on us, which I prefer. Mm-hmm. I saw a couple people say we're going to get like 3rd or 4th in the AFC East, which is crazy. I still think we have the best quarterback in the league. I'll take Josh Allen over anyone. And I'm very optimistic for this season. I think we're going to do really well. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. And I'm super excited. Go get a win in August. Go to a couple of home games this year, and maybe book some playoff tickets.
Yeah, like I actually think it is a lot better. Like last year, I didn't like being the Super Bowl favorite, and like I think there's a big chip on the shoulder of the defense after the Bengals game, and like how easy Cincinnati was able to just. And I think getting Vaughn back is big for that defense.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I was actually at the Bengals game. Unfortunately, I flew home for it, so that one still leaves a kind of a sour taste in our mouth. But yeah, I'm very optimistic, and just like what you said, I didn't like it when we were the Super Bowl favorite, especially with all these teams that have won it the last few years. So I'm very. I hope we could sneak up on some teams and get some big wins and make another playoff run and a championship run.
Well, Billy, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
All right, Cole. Appreciate it, brother. Take care.
All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Damon Jackson, who's back in action at UFC Nashville. Damon, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Yeah, it's going good. Been busy, crazy busy lately.
Obviously, last fight against Dan, didn't go your way. Taking 7 or so months off that, was this about the right time frame for you then after that loss?
Oh, no, it wasn't about the loss. Me and my wife, we didn't get to go on our 10-year anniversary. We were going to go on a trip, and that was right after the past 17 fight, and it just wasn't a good time. So we didn't go on a trip then. And then basically I was trying to get a fight for December, and it just didn't work out. So they pushed us to January, and we pushed the trip off to January. So we went to a wedding over there in Tuscany. It was really awesome. And then we were in Istanbul, and we traveled all over Europe. So it was pretty cool. Awesome trip though. But we did that. And then we actually opened up a gym in our hometown. So it's out here in Rockwall, Texas. And so we opened up about a month ago, and things are going great. But yeah, that's why the time frame was off. It wasn't about the fact that I didn't need time off. I just took some time off with her and then opened the gym, and things have been rolling ever since.
How nice is having the gym then with that second income coming in? Because obviously fighting doesn't last forever, and it is pretty sparse. How often you can fight, how nice it to kind of have that gym going then.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be good once it gets rolling, for a few months. But I've never relied on, the fighting part of it. It's set income, just because it's so crazy. You don't know what's going on. But this gym will definitely be some consistency in our, crazy lifestyle as a fighter. So I'm definitely excited about that. But it's just been great to see the program growing and to see everybody coming in and, to really get to know these people.
And fighting in Nashville, how big of a relief was it that it's in front of fans and not just at the Apex?
Bro, I don't even understand, because I'm not a people person. So for me to get excited about being around people is kind of crazy to think about. But I couldn't even. I mean, it would be an understatement if I explained to you how excited I am to have a fan base and have the ability to get out there in front of all those people, thousands and thousands of people. It's just gonna be cool.
I was trying to think, when was the last time was it the Texas card, or the what? It would have been
LFA.
LFA
2018.
That's what I'm saying. Your whole second UFC stint has all been at the Apex.
Yeah, man, it's great. Whatever, you have the awesome setup with the PI right there, and then the UFC staff always makes it super awesome. But just I can cut weight anywhere, I can work out anywhere. So if I got to fight in front of fans, I would choose that all day. So I'm excited about that.
And Billy Quarantillo, similar spot, fought a ranked guy, lost. How excited are you at this point? It kind of seemed like a fight that was going to happen at some point, just with where you guys are in your careers.
Yeah. We almost got matched up a while back, and they were trying to scale us both up, and they were giving me the new guys, and he was fighting whoever. So it was he's definitely a tough ass dude, and definitely excited about getting the matchup. Just as far as in front of fans, I think it's a fan favorite fight for sure.
What have you made of his UFC run? Obviously lost to Edson last time out, but had some pretty nice wins over Alex Hernandez, Kyle Nelson, beat some pretty tough guys.
For sure. And I mean, he lost a really close split decision with Burgos, Shane Burgos, who's tough as hell. Or it was a unanimous decision, but he lost the fight to him when it was a close fight, and he's a tough dude for sure. I definitely know you can never look past him, just because the people that look past him are the ones that end up paying for it, because he comes back in the second, third round a lot, and he has that dog in him, something you can't really teach. So it's definitely I know I've got my work cut out for sure.
That is something I did want to ask you about. Is he is kind of known for those second, third round with his cardio, and kind of starts slow and he kind of brings it on as guys get tired. I know you're a guy that always does conditioning. So how do you kind of prepare for that then, anyways?
Just do the same old shit, man. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to go for sure. Definitely. This is definitely going to be a test for sure, but I'm up for it for sure.
Who are the main guys? Like obviously a ton of guys at Fortis, ton of featherweights, lightweights, etc. Like who are kind of main guys you're working with?
Yeah, man. EJ and Abdul, they both got fights coming up. I think so. EJ fights the 21st, so next weekend, and then Abdul fights 2 weekends after me on the Contender, and then just our other. We got another kid named Ian. He's tough as hell. He's a 35er coming up, but he's so tough. But we have a lot of guys that are like names that like they're not on the big circuit yet or anything like that. So, but those guys fighting in LFA, they're going to be in the UFC probably after this fight. And then, Abdul, man, he's always been one fight away from making it to UFC. So, I'm excited for those guys to get their opportunity and they'll be ready to roll.
Is it weird for you now where like it seems like over the past like year or two, like you, Jeff, like a lot, like you, Jeff, Ryan, like kind of those guys have been at Force for a while, have all now kind of like the veterans, and like it's like this kind of new wave upcoming that are getting to the UFC.
Yeah, no, it's definitely crazy because like a lot of these guys, I remember the first day they came to the gym, so it's cool to see that they'll make it to where they're at in this short of time. But it's just different because they get to train right off the bat. Like me, Jeff, and Peterson, and all these Ryan Span, like all these guys. When we first started training, we all trained together, and we were just the up and comers. There was no big dogs ahead of us, so these young guys get to train with us after we've been testing ourselves for 10 to 15 years, and they're getting to train with us from day one. So they get to come up a lot quicker, and I'm a little jealous a little bit. So it's nice to see them that they're working their butts off, and they're it's paying off for sure.
And then Kennedy is on the card as well. Like, is that nice having a teammate that kind of can help you through the weight cut and everything?
No, I don't do weight cuts with people. I'm not a people person. I love the fact that I have fans this fight, but I'm not that guy. So I don't I don't hold anyone's hand during weight cuts, and I don't ask for hardly anything. So I got my two buddies coming out. One's a second grade buddy and one's a college friend, and been best friends with them since can remember. And they come out. They're always good support. And then, if I had to call my wife in for something, I can always hit her up. So,
is it like all the time you're not a people first, or like just kind of when you're cutting weight?
No, it's pretty much all the time. I like to go. I mean, I'll talk to everybody, whatever. But like, I'm not gonna like go out of my way to be like at a party or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Like if someone comes up to me, I'm never gonna be like, hey, get away from me, like whatever. But I'm not the guy that's gonna go find a conversation. If someone comes up to me and talks, I'll talk to you however long you want. But I just I know we wouldn't have the ability to go make a living without the fans. So it's like the fans are what gets the UFC excited. So that has to get you excited in some way. And fighting at the Apex is like it's great because you have the PI right there. You have everything like right there for you. But it's that dead silent after you hit someone with a big shot and you're like, oh, that hurt him, or that whatever. But like, there's no energy. Nobody's like, yeah, knock him out, or like, no one throws you a beer after the fight, like nothing, no shoeies, no nothing. So it's like I'm excited to be out there with some fans and it's been a while, man.
And then with Billy, like he's obviously a very good striker. I know you're like super well rounded, like good grappling. How do you think you guys kind of match up against each other?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a dogfight. I think where I'm a really strong grappler, he's got good wrestling defense, and his striking is a lot of volume, and I can handle that. I can handle 3 rounds of volume. So it's definitely a fan favorite type fight. I think it's gonna be a scrap for sure. I think that it'll be from the bell. It's gonna be crazy fireworks for sure.
Do you think the bigger octagon, now that you outside the Apex, makes much of a difference in this fight?
I don't know. He likes to close distance and go forward. I like to go forward, so I don't think it really does. But it's gonna be different for me for sure because I haven't been in that. And I don't think I ever have. Maybe once when I first UFC run.
How do you kind of see this one playing out? Like, because I wouldn't be surprised if one of you guys get finished. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just like a 3-round fight of the night kind of thing. Like, I can see this fight kind of going a bunch of different ways.
Well, I'm coming out ready to roll, man. So it's gonna be a tough fight for him. I promise you that.
What do you think a win over him does for you? Like, you were just fighting Dan in the rankings. He was just fighting Edson, who's in the rankings. Like, I feel like a winner of this might get a shot back at someone in the rankings again.
Yeah, that's definitely how this one plays out. It's a winner goes on and moves forward with the division, and then the loser kind of has to really, take a step back and see what's going on. So, yeah, definitely, it's gonna be it's a fight. This was gonna be a big fight, a year ago, and now the fact that we're both coming off losses, it's even gonna be a bigger fight. So, I know he'll be ready, and I promise you, I'll be ready. So I know it's gonna be a fight for sure.
Is there a lot of added pressure coming on you? Like, never lost 2 in a row in the career. Like, does that like add anything to it?
I know. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that was. I mean, I see that now that people pointed it out, but I never really paid attention to that. Like a fight's a fight to me. If I lost or won before, like I don't think about it hardly at all. Like I was on that 4-fight win streak, and I just wanted another fight, like back to back to back. I just wanted to keep going. So, I'm ready to go. I know he will be too, but there's no added pressure. I'm there to perform, and I'm there to get a finish.
Just final thing, like you go out there, say you do finish Billy, like we kind of talked about sets you up for a ranked opponent, but like what is kind of the goal then for the rest of the year? Like, are you hoping at least one more in this year?
Hell yeah. No, at least one more. Maybe if I can get a short notice, 2 more. So
Well, Damon, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
For sure, man. Thank you.